G'day and welcome to the Etto and Clarkie Sports Podcast. I'm Etto, joined by Clarkie. Clarkie, how are you?
Good, mate. Good as always, mate. Good to see you. How you been?
Good, mate. Very good. So, obviously, this is our first episode of the podcast.
Yeah.
Obviously, going to be introducing ourselves. We don't want to have anything that's too AFL centric or any too with our favourite teams. So, obviously, like Geelong or Port Adelaide. So, obviously, we're not going to be talking too much about both of those teams, but we will kind of touch on main sports, NFL, cricket, AFL, as I said before, AFLW when it's on, if we're still running in Feb.
Yep.
Yeah, NFL. What other sports we're doing as well, Clarky?
Obviously, the Premier League and all that sort of stuff's going to be getting going in a week and a half. So, obviously, we'll touch on that. It's a pretty popular thing, the old world football and the Premier League as well. So, we'll touch on some of that when that gets up and going. But mainly for now, in this first episode, obviously, the NRL got cracking again not too long ago, and the AFL set to follow suit next Thursday night, or this coming Thursday night, sorry. And so that's what we'll be touching on this episode.
Yeah, we will have obviously a few sports being played around the world. Obviously, because the pandemic is slowing down in Australia and across the world. Obviously, America's riots going on. Probably not going to see any major sports over there for a while, you wouldn't think. Obviously, as you said, the NRL started 2 weeks ago. We got the AFL this Thursday, so that should be good. Obviously, we had the round 4 of the NRL just finish. I think the last game finished about an hour or so ago. We'll run through the highlights and the results of the round 4 NRL. They're up on your screen now. So the first game on Thursday night, I think it was, Thursday or Friday night, we had the Broncos and the Roosters, 59-0 to the Roosters.
Didn't really blow me away, the result. I mean, obviously, the final score is probably more the one that makes me go a bit. You got to feel for the Broncos. I mean, they've looks like they're going to be in a bit of a rebuild, but the Roosters just go from strength to strength. And the 9 individual try scorers, Kyle, out of 10, and the only one to get a double was Angus Crichton. And to have 9 individuals and Flanagan to go and convert 9 out of 10 conversions, not bad at all. It's a good day out for the Roosters, so they impressed me, mate.
Yeah, very good. We won a bit of money on that game as well. Obviously, thanks to your multi that we put on.
Yeah,
a very good multi to start off the betting for 2020.
Yeah, we'll touch on. Obviously, there'll be a multi of the week. Unfortunately, we couldn't get that one involved in the podcast, but we are 1 for 1. So,
1 for 1, yeah.
Jump on board if you're into your punting, guys, and get ready for that segment. So, what was the next game, Kyle? Was the Panthers and
the Panthers and the Warriors. So the Panthers got the job done there, 26-0. So obviously 2 games there where one team did not score at all. So two big games. Obviously the Broncos and the Warriors didn't come out of the pandemic well to start their season after the shutdown.
Not at all, mate. And me being a Panthers man myself, this actually did surprise me, especially young Matty Burton getting a good run. 2 tries from him, Mansour, Burns and Luai, the other try scorers, and Crichton scoring 3 of 5 conversions, winning 26-0 at Campbelltown over the Warriors. So that was very impressive for the Panthers, and hopefully they can keep that form going, but very impressive win from them.
Yeah, very good. Move on to the third game of the round, which was the Storm and the Rabbitohs. The Storm were looking shaky early. I did watch a little bit of this game. They were shaky early on. The Rabbitohs took it right up to them, but the Storm got the job done, 22-8. So I think they lost last round. The Storm. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure they did take the L. Did you watch much of this game, Clarkie?
Actually didn't watch much of this one, unfortunately, but did. Obviously, a few of the boys were talking about it, and it was a bit of the scoreline doesn't really result of the game, how it played from what I heard, but obviously Storm a very good side and finding form slowly this season, but they had 4 individual try scorers, Ryan Papenhuisen, Vunivalu, Adokar and Olan scored a try as well. Cam Smith, 50% from his conversions, and then for the Rabbitohs you had Johnston with 1 and got the conversion and also a penalty goal as well. So As you can see, the scores at halftime were 8-6. So the Storm had a big second half.
Yeah, they did. So we couldn't watch much of the NRL over the weekend, obviously, to such a busy schedule trying to get these podcasts going. But the fourth game was the Eels and the Sea Eagles. The Eels got the job done 19-16. I think now Parramatta are now undefeated for the season, so they've started red hot after the shutdown, winning 2 from 2 after the shutdown, I believe.
Yep, no, they've been very impressive, mate. Have Parramatta, and that game was actually a very good game. Eels bring it right to them in the second half. I will say the scores at half time, the Eels were on 12. Sea Eagles only managed the 2. But to finish only 3 points down, pretty big second half from the Eagles. I mean, their try scorers, you had Tafua with 2 actually, and then the Eels, Jennings, Brown, and Evans as well. So Moses was good from his conversions. Rodman Garrick, not so much. So I think that might have cost them in the end. But the Eels go on and win again, and now they sit top, I believe. So good on them.
Yep. Yeah, I can confirm there. So let's see the Eels are 4 from 4. So yeah, they've started red hot. Obviously, the fifth game of the round was the Cowboys and the Sharks. The Sharks getting the job done there, 26-16. Obviously, they played well, the Sharks there. Obviously, you're the stats man, Clarkie. What were the stats looking like for that game?
So half-time scores were 12-6 in the Sharks' favour, so they obviously led for the majority of the game. Cowboys shining stars. I mean, they had 3 tries. You had 2 from Kyle Felt, 1 from Justin O'Neill, and 2 out of 3 conversions for Holmes. And for the Sharks, you had Jesse Ramian had 2, Mulitalo had 2 as well, and then your single try scorer Brighton Nakora, and Johnson converting 3 out of 5 attempts. So the Sharks also missing a penalty goal and a field goal, so the score could have been a little bit higher. But winning by 10 points, not bad from the Sharks, mate.
Yeah, very good as well. And the Knights got the job done over the Raiders, 34-18. The ladder's looking a little bit different. Obviously, that game there with the Knights and the Raiders. The Knights are sitting second at the moment, 3-1. So three wins, no losses, 1 draw. So they're looking pretty good. The Knights, the Raiders sitting fourth as well. They're 3 wins and 1 loss. That 1 loss obviously coming to the Knights. So then those teams are shaping up well for the top 8 for the NRL ladder. What was the stats looking like for that game? It looked like the Knights dominated most of it.
Yeah, they did, mate, which surprised me. Obviously, the Raiders being grand finalists last year and probably pretty stiff to lose that one to the Red Hot Roosters. But, Knights were on fire from the get-go. I mean, you had Bradman Best with a try in the first minute. So, that set up a pretty strong performance. Yep. Ponga come through with next. Twala, Edric Lee scored 2, and then Bradman again in the last minute of the game with another try just to dig the nail in. Ponga scored 4 conversions and Tex Hoy with 1. And for the Raiders, you had Jack Whiten with 1 try, Kotrick with 1, Papali with 1, and Croker did not miss a conversion, so he had 3. But, Knights very strong. And like you said, these 2 teams, both of them shaping up quite well for this restarted season.
Yeah, very good. And obviously one of the closer games of the round was the Titans versus the Tigers. The Titans got the job done 28-23 there. So the Titans are looking good in that game. Obviously they're sitting outside of the 8. They're currently sitting 15th on the NRL ladder, so not looking too good, sitting 1 win, 3 losses. So that's really it for that game. So the West Tigers are sitting 9th. They're 2-2, so probably the game the Tigers shouldn't have lost in the end, but they go down by 5 points.
Yeah, and they did score a field goal and Titans missing one as well. So another one of them games that probably could have gone either way. Good to see the Tigers get a win. They've been a side that has struggled for a period of time. So to take the Tigers up to Suncorp and give them a little bit of a set down back to earth is probably good for them. So that was very good from the Titans.
Yeah, and the last game of the round was the Bulldogs versus the Dragons. Bulldogs sitting 11th. They're sitting 12th, and the Dragons are sitting 16th in dead last. So probably the blowout we expected with the result being 22-2. Probably it's probably just a blowout in the end with the Dragons not looking too good after the shutdown.
Yeah, no, I agree. Well, actually, the betting market was what surprised me. I think the Dragons were actually favourites in this game, believe it or not, Kyle. So,
Yep.
but did not go on to live up to that expectation. I mean, the try scorers for the Bulldogs were Adam Elliott, Nick Meaney, Rymer Smith. Meaney with all 3 conversions and both penalty goals. The scores were 10-2 at halftime, so the Dragons didn't score in the second half. Their only points coming from a penalty goal from Lomax. So, very poor outing for the St. George Illawarra Dragons.
Yeah, very good. So that finishes off round 4 for the NRL. So we look ahead to round 5. So obviously we get back to round 5 here. So we don't have a screen for the round 5, but we can go through the draw. Thursday night, the Sea Eagles play the Broncos. We will go through our round 5 tips after this, but yeah, the Sea Eagles playing the Broncos. At home game, the Warriors playing the Cowboys on Friday night. Looking at short favourites are the Cowboys, the Eels and the Panthers, Rabbitohs, Titans, Knights, Storm, the Tigers and the Raiders, Bulldogs, Roosters, Dragons, Sharks to round it off on the Sunday night. We'll quickly go through our tips. Clarkie, your tips are first.
Yep, mate. Beautiful. So obviously the Thursday night game, Sea Eagles and the Broncos. It's hard to look past the red hot favourites in the Eagles. Broncos obviously really poor against the Roosters, and I think they'll continue that poor form, unfortunately. But I think the Eagles will win that one pretty comfortably. And then obviously the Warriors and the Cowboys. I've gone with the favourite yet again. I just think the Warriors going down scoring Panthers, not a good way to get back into it. And I think the Cowboys weren't too bad, so I'm going to stick with the Cowboys. Now, this one's the one, this is probably my roughie. You've got the Eels and the Panthers. Eels top, like you said, undefeated with a very hot start, but I've got a funny feeling, and I'm not just saying this because it's my team. I just got a weird feeling that the Panthers might be able to get the job done. Friday night there at Bank West in a pretty hot contest, mate. Being rivals, but I think Panthers will get the job done. Then you've got the Rabbitohs and the Titans. I think the Rabbitohs will win that one pretty comfortably. The Titans will win, but I still think they just don't have the chop to get past the Souths. Knights and Storm. I think Knights obviously higher on the ladder, but I still think Storm has too much quality in their side to get them. So I think Storm will win that one. West Tigers and Raiders, grand finalists from last year, the Raiders, and pretty tight loss. I mean, probably could have done better against the Knights, but I think they'll bounce back and beat the Tigers. Bulldogs, Roosters. Roosters will win that, no doubt. And then you've got Dragons and Sharks, and I think I do think the Dragons will bounce back and get a win at home. So, well, their home game down at Campbelltown, I think they will beat the Sharks. So there's my tips for round 5, mate.
Very good. Go through my tips now as well. Not much has changed between your tips and my tips, so
no, mate.
They are legit the exact same. So I've gone the Sea Eagles, Cowboys, Panthers, Rabbitohs, Storm, who I kind of follow in the NRL, the Raiders, the Roosters, and the Dragons. We will go through the round 4, the ladder after round 4 for the NRL. So we have the Eels sitting at top, the Knights second, Panthers third, Raiders fourth, Storm sitting in 5th, sitting 3-1. The Roosters are 2-2, sitting 6th. The Cowboys and the Sea Eagles round out the top 8. And then just outside of the 8 are the West Tigers, Broncos, and the Sharks. Probably just the West Tigers and the Broncos. Just unlucky to miss out there. The Bulldogs 12th, Rabbitohs 13th, Warriors 14th, Titans and the Dragons round off the top 16. But a few interesting sides down the bottom there. The Tigers obviously dropped 2, and the Broncos dropped 2 as well. So an interesting ladder to finish round 4 for the NRL, Clarkie.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. I think I'm not surprised to see the Titans and the Dragons down the bottom. What I am surprised by is just the teams at the top at the moment. I know it's only early. There's only been 4 games. The likes of the Eels, the Knights, Panthers, those in the top 3 is very surprising. I mean, you look at their odds for the flag and you've got Eels at $6, so not too bad. Knights and Panthers, though, at $13 and $15 respectively for the flag. It is only round 4, but to see them up there is probably pretty good for their supporters. And Roosters still the favourites, not far behind the Raiders, sitting inside the top 8 as well. So all thereabouts, I think.
Yeah, very good. And we would just like to thank our major sponsor for sponsoring the show, BJ Media. Thank you to sponsoring. Clarkie will hopefully be getting him into a hoodie shortly. Hopefully his hoodie comes shortly from BJ Media. I'd like to thank Jared from BJ Media. He's probably going to be on the show maybe once or twice once we get launched. But yeah, thanks to BJ Media for sponsoring this episode of the podcast. We will move into the round 2 AFL tips. So the round 2 AFL preview. We head into that. So yeah, the first game after the restart will be interesting to see how both teams go. It's Collingwood and Richmond. Thursday night, Friday night, Geelong v Hawthorn. Can't wait for that. Obviously, good to see the Cats back at the Cattery. Saturday afternoon football is the Lions and the Dockers. Big game here, Saturday afternoons, Carlton Melbourne. Interesting to see how both teams go after that. I'm looking forward to see how Carlton play. Obviously, they didn't play too bad against Richmond after round 1. But interesting to see if Jack Martin can get up for that game, because if he does, he's probably looking pretty good. Can probably be leading the Coleman if he plays after round 2. So probably the blowout of round 2 will probably be the Suns and the Eagles at Metricon Stadium. Port Adelaide and Adelaide on the Saturday night. Your beloved pair up against the rivals in the Crows, Clarkie.
Big one.
Big game, obviously wearing the prison bars. Could possibly be crowds in, and we'll touch on that a little bit later. The Sunday games, the Giants and North Melbourne, Sydney Swans and Essendon, and a new time slot. See how this goes for a second try. 6:05 p.m. St Kilda and the Bulldogs. Will be interesting to see how that pans out, Clarkie. It's going to be interesting. But it's good.
It'll be an interesting round, mate. It's good to have it back. Obviously, like you said, having a break in between because of the pandemic will be very interesting to see how clubs have handled that individually with their training and keeping themselves fit. But obviously, being the professionals that they all are, I'd expect it to be no issue. But it will be exciting to see it back, and can't wait for Thursday night.
Yeah, it's going to be huge. Obviously, both of our teams aren't playing on Thursday night, but it's still live footy to watch. But
we've been hanging for that, so that'd be good.
Any footy is good to watch.
Yeah,
we'll quickly go through both of our tips, Clarkie. Obviously, my tips are Richmond up against the Pies, Geelong up against Hawthorn. I've gone Brisbane against Freo, Carlton against Melbourne, which I think it's probable they'll win. I've gone West Coast up against the Suns. I've gone Port Adelaide against Adelaide. Giants against North Melbourne. Sydney against Essendon and St Kilda. And the Bulldogs over St Kilda. Clarkie.
Yeah, mate. I think we've done a doozy here. I reckon I might have the same as you, mate, but it's going to be an interesting round. So obviously got the reigning premiers, I think, will get the better of Collingwood. Just too much talent in their side. And they are a very good team, especially in tight contests. So Tigers will win that one for me.
Yep.
Geelong and Hawthorn, I think that'll be an interesting game. Obviously, Hawthorn not at the peak of their earlier years, but I still think they're a quality side, and that game might be a bit closer than some people think. I've got to go with the Cats down at GMHBA. I think the Lions will get over the Dockers quite comfortably. Obviously, they had a breakout season last year. I think they'll continue that form against the Dockers.
Yep.
I think Carlton will beat Melbourne. Obviously, like you said, Carlton have been pretty thereabouts nearing the end of last season, and the game against Richmond, they were pretty competitive. Eagles will run over the Suns. I think obviously their first game against Port Adelaide did not go their way at all. And, you just watch them play and they're just a class behind everyone else. So Port Adelaide and Adelaide, obviously always a tight one. I can never be fully confident. With what's going on at Adelaide and, the players that have left, you could almost field a top 8 side with the players that have left. So I'd back Port Adelaide to get the job done there. That's more to hoping than thinking. But then you've got the Giants and North. I think Giants are 2 strong grand finalists from last year and are hiding. But North Melbourne, I don't know. I'm still not sure about North Melbourne. Sydney and Essendon. This one for me was hard to pick. I thought it would go either way, but seeing that it's at the SCG, I've had to go with the Swannies. And St Kilda Bulldogs. I think Bulldogs are a very underrated team. Very good midfield, probably one of the best midfield comp if you look at it in depth. So I think Doggies will win that quite comfortably.
Yeah, very good. I've decided to chuck the hot topic in front of Clarkie's multi of the week. I thought Clarkie's multi of the week can sit back and just take a back burner until we're nearly ready to end the show. So the hot topics of this week, obviously, they're mostly AFL centred. Obviously, Jack Stephen, the AFL have cleared him of any wrongdoing and can most likely play this week for Geelong against Hawthorn on Friday night, which will be his debut for the Cats, which will be good because he's a good player. So, Clark, what are your thoughts on that? Obviously, it's probably just a personal issue that doesn't have to say anything about, so it's up to him if he says anything, but...
Yeah. No, it was just obviously the thing that got put into the media about what happened. Very unfortunate incident that obviously not many people know much about, so obviously not too much to touch on, but it would be good to see him get his debut. As you said, he's a quality player that I expect to come in and play a good role in Geelong's midfield or wherever they feel like playing him. But yeah, good to see that he's been cleared, and it'll be good to see him run out there, mate. So hopefully all good.
Yeah, it will. And obviously, one that came out today about an hour or so ago. You'd probably be happy to see this apart from leading up to a showdown. So, the Crows bust up was between Kyle Hardigan and Billy Frampton. Clarkie, you'd probably be happy to see this, as I said, leading into a showdown. Two teammates having a bust up.
Yeah, it's a funny one. When I seen it, I almost couldn't believe it. Like, obviously, you're gonna have little biffs and stuff like that between teammates, but a bit of friendly competition. But what was seen in the clip, I mean, obviously, I don't have the clip to write. So if anyone's seen it, it's a bit more than just a biff. So there was actually punches thrown by Kyle Hardigan and Billy Frampton. So obviously, I'm not sure what's going down there. Obviously, the Crows have been in the media a little bit lately. Obviously, Andrew McLeod, one of their club champions, absolute legend of the game, come out and made a statement saying he doesn't feel welcome back at that club and had a bit of a dig at their culture. So obviously that video that come out today does really put a argument against that. It's not looking good for them at the moment, especially like you said, leading into a showdown. Not the thing you want to be in the media for. So hopefully they can fix that up, and hopefully there's a reasonable explanation for it. It's not good to see.
No, not at all. And also we had the big freeze 6 on today. Obviously they couldn't do it at the MCG due to pandemic restrictions, but they still did it. Obviously it was pre-recorded on Channel 7 at 4 o'clock Australian Eastern Standard Time. All 18 clubs had one slider from each club go do something, obviously jump into an ice bath or have ice poured on them. Probably the best dressed out of today's slides was probably Mitch Robinson, dressing up as Joe Exotic from the Tiger King, and Dane Zorko coming out as Carol Baskin. Probably the best out of all of them. I obviously thought Toby Green's Karate Kid was very good as well.
Not bad at all on Toby Green, mate. It was good to see him with a bit of humour, so it was good.
Yeah. Obviously not a bad footy player as well on Toby Green, but obviously everything that's happened to him. Obviously kicking Luke Dalhouse in the head when going for a mark about a year or so ago, but just having a little bit of a crack at the haters there was Toby Green, but all for a good cause for Fight MND, obviously for Neil Danaher's Fight MND charity. A very good cause. Obviously, if you want to buy a beanie, obviously Clarkie's got his beanie on there as well. Go to any Coles or Bunnings warehouse retail stores and pick up yourself a beanie. They are $20 each, or head to fightmnd.com.au and buy one online. They're very good beanies, aren't they, Clarkie?
Yeah, no, that'll be. I definitely got mine. Like Kyle said, if you have, obviously in the pandemic as it is, not many people. Some people are struggling financially, but if you do have the money to do so and buy yourself a beanie, all the proceeds do go to a very good cause. And obviously, the more we can talk about it and spread awareness and support the foundation, the better it's going to be. So obviously, it's very much appreciated everyone that donates, and it's good to see. So thanks everyone that has, and everyone that's going to as well. So.
Yeah, very, very good. And obviously, the last thing for episode 1, we have Clarkie's Multi of the Week, which will be a regular occurrence. They can have any sport in them for a multi. Obviously, this week's mainly AFL due to the AFL coming back. I'll chuck it up on your screen now. There it is. I'll let Clarkie explain it. It's paying $48.55. See how that one goes.
I've gone with the big one, mate. Yeah, no, I have gone with the big one. I thought, why not? So obviously, anyone that likes punting, we're going to get on and we're going to have a multi of the week. Like I said, all different sports. Obviously, footy coming back, went with footy. Now, I think Richmond will cover the line. I think it's mainly all line bets there, if I can remember correctly. Richmond to cover the line. I think Geelong to cover the line as well. Couple of head-to-head ones in there. Like I think I just went the Lions head-to-head. Eagles to cover the line. Port Adelaide to cover their line as well. And then I'm pretty sure the other ones are just head-to-head. So I just looked at that and I ones that I think are probably most likely, and hopefully anyone that wants to jump on will make your modifications as you like, but hopefully we can go 2 from 2. So the NRL one was pretty successful, and I'm hoping that I can start the AFL season off with a pretty successful start. So hopefully that multi gets up. If not, we'll reassess and we'll go again. But anyone that's keen to jump on and send us an email on Etto and Clarkie at gmail.com, or you can message us on Instagram or Facebook as well. So if you've got any, also touching on that, any questions, podcast, we're definitely happy to answer them. So send those in.
Yeah, very good. We're obviously going to be trying to organise a few sports stars to try and come on to the podcast weekly. We will be trying, as I said at the start of the show, we will be trying to get these out regularly. Obviously, with the uploading them to Apple Music and Spotify, it's going to be a little bit hard for them to get around. It's normally a 10-day turnaround for a release, but obviously we're doing the visual one at the moment, so that'll be out on YouTube tomorrow, so which will be the 9th of June. We're going to try and get them out on a weekly occurrence. So any emails that get sent to us, we'll obviously review them, and obviously if you have any feedback for the show for either of us, we will look into that and see what we can fix for future episodes. But I think that's all we have for this episode. Clarkie, thanks for joining me, and we'll review every sport that was completed over the weekend. Obviously the big AFL back this week, which will be very good, Clarkie.
Absolutely, mate. Can't wait. So thanks again, and it's good to get this going, and hopefully a lot of people enjoy the podcast, and stay tuned, everyone. Thank you very much.
Yeah, it's going to be very good. Thank you for watching and listening. We will see you next Tuesday. I reckon we're going to try and get them out next Tuesday. Next Wednesday is normally a good upload day. We'll try and get them out either Tuesday or Wednesday, but mainly Tuesday for the visual one on YouTube. Apple Music and Spotify will just release whenever they can. But yeah, thank you for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.